Good evening, everyone. This video is going to be a trading review and support session for August the 17th, 2022. We're sort of in the middle of the summertime, kind of middle of August. This is usually a kind of a cautionary time. We seem to be doing okay, but usually kind of a cautionary time in trading. Europe is on vacation, and especially the second half of August, which is what we're in now. But we're getting enough movement to be able to trade the markets and make some profits. Let's go through the kind of like the bigger picture chart that I was showing this morning. Actually, I'm going to start with the daily, and this is what it looked like when we were in. I mean, so yesterday, right, it had snuck up to the 2x200, right? We don't have a whole lot of reasons for it to be super positive right now. So this was a good area for it to pause, and pause it did. So we were a little bit negative. We were coming in this morning. We finished negative, so it was a down day. And so far in the overnight session, right, it's also down. Now we'll wait and see tomorrow morning what that's going to be. What I talked about yesterday or this morning was, it's completely reasonable that it might come down to at least the 9-day moving average, right, which is this one, 2238, which is really about maybe 34, 35 points more down. It could easily do that tomorrow. And it's not even unreasonable that, over the couple of next few days, it might even come down to the 20-day moving average. The 20-day moving average will keep going up, right? So it won't be necessarily at this level. So maybe something else. Now, so we'll just have to wait and see. So today was the FOMC meeting minutes day, and let me just kind of bring the big picture chart up to see kind of how it reacted. That news release is at 11, and so it got a little bit crazy. I'm walking it back just a little bit. Not huge range. So, and I haven't really even read the analysis of what was in the meeting minutes, but I'll do that for tomorrow morning, or at least try to. So it was kind of bouncy there for a while, but then went up, pull back up again, up to the pivot point in the yesterday's close area, and then they ended up selling off some, and starting at about 11:30, and so here was yesterday's close, right, and then here is today's close, right? So yes, it was a down day. And so far, as you can see, we're underneath that as well. So coming through, we're just going to kind of make sure we know what's going on with the market itself, and so we're letting it open. So I like to at least give it that first minute, and I'm watching things closely enough. I don't mind if I'm getting in early enough, right? I don't mind taking a trade. So here's the first trade, and it was just fine. Not wanting to chase it anywhere, just looking for pullbacks, things that are coming off of the or near the EMA, or something substantial to be running away from, right? So here it comes down to the EMA, breaking back up, and so that was the second trade. Not going to chase it anymore, but that was two quick, relatively quick trades that both worked. Still don't have a really good strategy, and perhaps don't need one. The market either does up downs or down ups, and it's fairly consistent about that. Just don't necessarily have a really great. I mean, I've tried it a few times. Sometimes I'm a little bit too late. Sometimes I take a couple of ticks worth of profit, but I let it come all the way back down today without taking a trade. Mainly, I mean, and for at least today, mainly because it is kind of summertime and it's less predictable, and the big boys aren't there pushing the market around quite the same as they sometimes do. So here it comes. It's before coffee break time, and here's my third trade. Uh, kind of again, uh, coming, running away from the EMA and the minute average, and it had consolidated here, right? It had kind of consolidated here, or pulled back and making another thrust. So it was kind of another push, and it wasn't just a breakout. Like for instance, if it had just poked its head out here, right, that would be a crossing pattern. But since it did come back and was making good progress up, this was a good trade. So that was the third trade, and it was profitable. And let's see, I did not trade any more, I don't think, during the push time frame. This one didn't look too bad. I just was being pretty cautious about taking trades today in the summertime. This is business inventory, right? So and it was flat, right, to forecast. Didn't take any trades. It doesn't look too bad, right? I mean, this trade doesn't look too bad up in here, but didn't take it. And it comes all the way back down. And I did end up taking some late trades in this time frame. I mean, even in here, doesn't look too bad. I'm just being pretty cautious in the summertime. It's kind of coming up through here. I take a trade here, right? It's really not popping too terribly much. This is a little bit counter trend, but it had some volume, and I ended up getting out with only 2 ticks. And then I tried. Oh, this is kind of a bad trade, right? And I did lose almost 2 points. It's this entry right here, right, as it was crossing over VWAP, right? And in this case, the entry was, I mean, it was really maybe an earlier entry. I mean, it's kind of a questionable area. In general, of course, I wish I had just left this trade alone. But this is kind of a crossing pattern, and it ended up, I didn't let it go for a 3-point stop. I just did a manual close, and it's like down in here somewhere is where I got out of that trade. So otherwise it would have, if I just kept my 3-point stop, it certainly would have stopped out. So then here's another one that I took. Again, this is summertime trading, and I'm really kind of getting nervous now about the market not traveling. So it was kind of breaking down here. So I entered in, it came all the way up, ended up taking 2 ticks. And I'm glad I did, again, because it would have probably stopped me out if it came all the way back up here. It broke down through the 5-minute moving average here and bounced up. So I'm taking it kind of on the resurgence here. So I'm short down in here, and again I take 2 ticks, and I'm glad I did, because it would have. Well, let's see. I don't know if this one may not have stopped out. I don't recall. Then this one is breaking down pretty good, so I take this one. I get the full 1 point. I'm only going for 1 point profits right now, in the summertime. So we'll see when I can reevaluate that. So overall, I'm still positive at this point. Well, I really never was negative today. I'm looking for my next trade. Even here would have been, well, I don't know, maybe okay. EMA kind of breaking down, had some volume here going down under the minute average. That probably would have been okay. And then I took a pretty late trade. Oh, I think well, let's see. I know I disappeared for a little while at one point. Don't know if this was it or not. So ended up taking a trade back in here, kind of breaking through. Again, only 2 ticks because it was kind of going sideways there some, but it would have completely delivered. So that's like the third trade today that I only took 2 ticks on. I think it's about 50-50 on if they would have ultimately delivered or not. Here, kind of breaking through back again, right? So here's the 3-minute close. It's pretty much above that 3-minute close, right? And it's pretty much above this 3-minute close. This is after 8 o'clock. So, and it's kind of breaking up again, right? Coming up through here. So I took that trade and got out of it. with profit. And then I think at least one more trade. I think there was 2 trades. This might have been one, right? And then this one I'm pretty sure was the second one that I didn't call, but I took because I was up 6 points for the day on trades that I called, and that one, and then I think this one. I don't think I missed any trades. Breaking down here and got the full points there. Now, so did I take every trade that was available? No, actually, I didn't even take every trade that was available. So pretty much, I mean, probably could have done better, but it's summertime, and not only summertime, it's August, and not only August, it's the second half of August. So definitely time to be as maybe even as conservative as we can. I am looking at really good entry points now and getting more concentrated on taking those and not taking extensions too much. That crossing pattern still gets me every now and then, and it got me once today. So I just bailed out of that trade before it stopped me out. So that was kind of the trading today. Going to continue. Still working on this faster set of slightly modified indicators just to make it more compatible with the faster chart. I'll get into that. But basically the trading theories and trading levels are pretty much exactly the same. Like I was saying this morning, it's just the granularity of the market movements that I can see with the new chart. I'm liking it so far. We'll see. I mean, it's certainly will be up to each individual to decide which one they want to look at. But I'm kind of liking it. All right, so that's kind of it for me. Any questions or anything you got for me? Yeah, I'm definitely liking. You're absolutely right. I'm liking the new technique and not adding, not reversing, um, and we just have to get the best entries we can. We'll get a stop out every now and then without question. We'll get a stop out, and I would have gotten at least one more today had I not taken smaller profits. Taking smaller profits is okay if you think the market isn't going to continue. Um, but yeah, this compared to the other technique of having to use a relatively large account in reserve just in case it kind of got away from you, you had to add to it. That's yeah. I've got enough time and trades under my belt now that you're absolutely right. This is I'm a lot happier with this technique. And I still may find some little things that help us, but stretching, adding to, even though I was largely successful most times, it was it was definitely more stressful, and it can get you into trouble. Without doubt, it can get you into trouble and cost you multiple days, not just a couple of trades, but multiple days worth of profit if it gets away from you. And and this is a little bit more risk adverse, right? Because even though I could trade my way out of it most times, if I got stubborn, right, and or just got blindsided a little bit by the market, it got in trouble very quickly. So, and I've looked at that. Yeah, I'm definitely going to stay with this. So the only thing I'm doing is kind of fine tuning, right? I'm just fine tuning. This faster chart is part of that fine tuning, right? The entry and the exit principles are exactly the same. It's just the granularity of the entry. And I've got one other indicator to introduce to you guys that I think is a little helpful, and we'll go there. It's just a little bit different math. Right now, I've got them all still on my trading chart, right? And I might try to eliminate one. I don't know. I mean, it's not too bad. And actually, the granularity, the improvement in the granularity, things don't get bunched up quite as much. Actually, it kind of spreads some things out a little bit. Um, yeah, this is, it's no stress. I mean, well, I mean, trading is a little bit of stress, right? Is it going to make it or not, and all that kind of stuff, right? And is it going to stop out or not? But if you wait for the best entries, then that's not too big of a problem. So yeah, I agree with you. I like this the best, even in the summertime, right? Even in the summertime, I'm pulling down good enough profits to be happy with it in August. August used to be, I mean, in the second part of August, I used to be very, very cautious, because if you get on the wrong side in August and it slows down and doesn't come back and it's not going back and forth, then you're really in for a rough ride. But even then, everything is improved. But still, even with all the improvements and speed and indicators and all that kind of stuff, it is not worth it to try to fight the market. So I'm glad you like it too. Alrighty, any other observations or questions, Sean? Okay. I mean, last comment here is I still, I'm kind of still practicing it. I haven't increased my leverage yet, right? But I'm still thinking about leverage, meaning, how big of an account do you need to trade, how many contracts, and that kind of stuff. Of course, again, that's also up to each individual, but you don't really need either you don't really need a whole really big account, and or you can trade a little bit more contracts with the account that you have. One of the two, right? And that's for everybody to do their own thinking, right, and their own money management. All right, so thanks for being here. Yeah, that's another question, right? About the trailing stop. I have seen it definitely go both ways. I definitely have been, as you know, right, watching me, I have definitely been occasionally stopped out on a 3-point trailing stop, only to have it come back and give me profit, or would have given me profit. Some of that reason, so right now I'm not using the trailing stop, and part of the other logic is, if it's not going for you, and if it goes against you a little bit, right, clearly not 3 points, right, you got an option of going for fewer profits, right? If the profit means that it just comes down and tests the low or the high and gets you out, that's not a bad strategy, right? And or if it starts to get against the faster indicators, you can also decide to bail, kind of like I did today, right? I was watching it, and if it kind of broke down, then I was going to jump out of the trade, which is what I did. Now, sometimes, when it breaks significantly against you, then sometimes you'd like to have gotten out sooner, but at least, you can probably get out without a full 3 point, maybe 2, maybe 1.5. It just depends on, it's going to be different on every single trade, right? So right now I'm still leaving it alone. I have some things in the back of my mind, right, just in case it almost gets you out. Should you pull the trailing stop in some, right? And I don't know yet. I'll try to get more trades under my belt with this technique, and then go from there. Biggest thing is to take entries in the areas, and I've got a couple of things to show you. The 0 and 12 No, the zero means if it goes for you at all, right? If it even goes one tick in your favor, then the trailing stop is going to move, right? So instead of 12, instead of a 3-point loss, it would be a 2.75, right? And it moves down every single tick, right? If you have it enabled, that's what the zero is, right? It used to be 2, I think, right? Would give it a little bit of room and start kicking it in at 2. The zero, it starts to kick in immediately if it starts to go in your direction. But at this point, I don't even have the trailing stop turned on right now. All right, so I think you're out of questions. So we'll see you in the morning, and have a great rest of your evening.